everybody. Once again, we are out here in the garage. My name is Randy. You're watching the 5.5 Garage, and today I will be continuing on with my Turbo Miata build. And as for today, I'm going to be working on tearing down the front of the engine. I need to remove the spark plugs. I need to remove the valve cover and take those plastic covers off of the front of the engine so I can get a good look at my cam seals. I don't know when they were changed, so I want to get a good look at them and see if I'm going to change them or not. I probably will. Also, I need to take a look at the water pump. Once again, I don't know if the water pump has ever been changed. I actually have a spare one here, and I'm going to remove the one that's on there now and replace it with a brand new unit, so that'll be one less thing to have to worry about. As well, I'm going to remove the balancer and pulley off of the crank so I can get a good look at the front main seal, and I'm going to end up replacing that as well. I do have a balancer solution on the way. I ordered it and it has not made it here yet. But for right now, instead of waiting for that to come in and then film a video, I'm just going to continue on with this teardown process. So, if anything arises during this process that I think you guys need to be made aware of, I will cut away and do a little bit of an explanation like I always do. But for right now, I'm going to throw on some gloves and get started. Alright, so I just took my valve cover off and everything's looking good in here. Now, I'm not going to take the cams out or anything because I am not going to take this head off. I'm going to leave the head on. But for the most part, everything in there is looking good. Get that off. And that is the inside of that. And it's not too bad. I am going to clean that up a little bit because when I removed my cast, I did not have an O-ring on it. So that is something I'm going to keep in mind. But this is going to get cleaned up. And then I'm going to take my razor blade and scrape that off there. Come down here and clean it up a little bit before I put my gasket back on. Alright, so with all that done, I'm going to continue on working on the front of the engine. These plastic covers have to come off. I need to remove this water pump pulley. This balancer and pulley is going to be coming off as well. If you watched the previous video, you know I'm going to be running a coolant reroute, so this water neck has to come out. And that's going to present an interesting situation for water cooling my turbo. There's a water outlet that goes here that has a feed line on it that I can use, but I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do for the return. And once I get done doing what I'm doing today, I need to research this and find out if I can cap these off or if I need to keep those hooked up. But this is the crank trigger. So I need to next work on removing this, getting this off, and I'll show you guys a trick to get this off. Because you just can't put a wrench on it and spin it because this is going to turn as well, but I will show you guys a trick to get that off. Okay, so the next part we're going to be working on is removing, So the next part we're going to be working on is removing the water pump pulley. And if you try to put a wrench on this and just turn it, all it's going to do is spin this. But what you can do is you can take one of your old belts, put it on here and cinch it with your hand, and that'll keep this from turning, and then you can use a wrench to get it off. You guys are probably going to hear some fan noise. That's because I got a fan on because it's hot out here. But so I got the balancer and the trigger wheel off, and as you can see down here, that is fresh. That is a fresh oil leak. It's also very grimy down here, so thankfully I will be able to fix this problem as well. Unfortunately, I noticed when I got down here that it looks like somebody had a little accident. Of course, it wasn't me. The previous owner looks like they tried to get this off and snapped a bolt in there. So thankfully I got my easy outs and I should be able to get that out. Getting my crank bolt out wasn't too much of a problem, but next up is I'm gonna get this cover off and then take a look inside of here and see how bad it really is. Well, I got most of it apart, but I've run into a little snag. My crank key is seized, and I tried wiggling it loose. I used PB Blaster, I used a torch, and right at the point where I was wiggling it, it's where it snapped off. There's still some here if I could get something on the side to pull it out, but it's seized, and right now I am going to do some research to figure out what my next step is. I don't know if I can maybe pull a pulley puller on this and it'll come out that way. Right now I'm not for sure, and I don't want to do anything else because the last thing I want to do is damage this and then I have to rebuild, go get a new crank and then have to rebuild this all over again, and then that's just going to be even more money that I'm trying not to spend right now. But I think right now I am going to take a break and go do some more research and see how I'm getting that off. Okay, now that I got the fuel rail, the injectors, and the intake manifold off, I'm going to call it a wrap for today. There's a couple of things that I need to do a little bit of research on and some problems I need to address before I can move forward. The big problem and the big elephant in the room is what I'm going to do with that frozen crank key. Basically, what I'm going to do is douse it with PB Blaster tonight wake up tomorrow morning, douse it again, and then later in the afternoon, I'm going to hit it with some heat and then try tapping the key inward, see if I can shock it loose. I've reached out to a couple of people in the Miata community. Even reached out to Greg at the Car Passion channel. He gave me a couple ideas. So hopefully this works. Now, if it doesn't and I need to get a new crank, I am just going to finish tearing this motor down completely and just rebuilding it. I was trying to avoid doing that. I was just wanting to replace some seals, put in a brand new clutch in a flywheel, stick it back in the car, and then start my turbo build that way. But as I dig more and more into this project and more into this car, because there's a lot of things with the car that I haven't even started talking about yet, but it just, the more I dig into it, the more that I just want to take this time and do it right and not rush my way through it and then cause myself a bigger problem later down the line. So that's really where I am with the project right now. I am going to straighten up a couple things in here, and then it's getting late in the evening. I want to grab something to eat and just relax and try to figure out what I'm gonna do next. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. I know it's not really that interesting and they're kind of short, but like I said in the previous video, the more that I can get these smaller things out of the way, the more I can get to the really interesting stuff, like putting the intake on and setting up the turbo and running the lines and things of that nature. So enough of my rambling. I am going to clean up here and then go enjoy the rest of my evening. I hope you all are enjoying your evening wherever you are, and I will see you guys on the next one.